like the mellow part.
Yeah, I was thinking
That's
like the Mellow Eagle or something.
That's a little too... What is the label of mellow corn? What is there an animal on that label?
I can't picture what's on it.
I feel like there's an animal on it.
Hello, and welcome to Revue de Bourbon, podcast dealing with all things bourbon. I'm your co-host, Dusty, and along with my co-host, Wayne, we're just a couple of guys who love to talk about bourbon.
Yes, sir.
So, whether you're at home, at work, or just stuck in your car, sit back, relax, kick your feet up, pour yourself a drink, and enjoy the show.
Okay, hey, here we are. We're back. Welcome to Revue de Bourbon, everybody. I am Dusty Pockets, and also joining me is...
Wayne Spencer.
That's right. What's up, Wayne? How's it going, man?
Going pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain. I always get pretty excited around this time.
What time's that?
Podcast time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you meant just like 7:40.
It's weird because it's been night usually when we do this, and it's still daylight. It's kind of bothering me.
Must have something to do with the changing of the seasons.
But time just marches on, doesn't it?
Think so.
And so does bourbon. Every year that passes means bourbon gets older. We have a pretty old one tonight that we're featuring. A 20-year bourbon, actually. So this is pretty exciting.
Another Orphan Barrel bourbon.
That's right. We've knocked down a couple Orphan Barrels.
Mm-hmm.
At least one. We just did the Rhetoric. Actually, we should have probably done that now with all the rhetoric that's going on in the news, in politics.
I can't even probably watch it. I just get my news from Saturday Night Live.
I get my news from Facebook, so it's about the same thing.
I've
right?
got the AP mobile app on my phone,
mm-hmm.
and the Huffington Post app.
Okay,
and just kind of keeps me somewhat informed about, so I don't sound like I live completely under a rock.
Well, I listen to podcasts of people that are on both sides. I don't choose a side. I just kind of want to stay informed. That's about it.
I just don't want to, think Ted Cruz was in Top Gun or anything.
Yeah, I thought Bernie Sanders was in Curb Your Enthusiasm for a long time. But we're doing Barterhouse from Orphan Barrel. If you haven't heard this podcast before, welcome. We've done Rhetoric, like I said. It's part of the Orphan Barrel line, and we've explained what the Orphan Barrel line is, but I'll just kind of do a broad stroke of what it is. It's basically found bourbon, hence the name Orphan. When Stitzel Weller, the distillery where Pappy was made, Pappy Van Winkle, the famous distillery, when it was bought, there was some barrels of bourbon left over, and Diageo decided to put it to good use and bottle it. So we've got several different brands from them in the Orphan Barrel line. You can go to the website. It's a pretty cool website, pretty slick. Not a whole lot of information there, but let's see. There's Old Blowhard. There's Rhetoric, Barterhouse, Lost Prophet. They just came out with one called Gifted Horse, Forged Oak.
And they're like a lock, stock, and something.
Yeah, that's not them, though.
That's not.
No, but that is a really good rye.
I wanted to say Two Smoking Barrels, but
mm-hmm.
that's just all I could think of.
So, Wayne, why don't you go ahead and introduce this beautiful bourbon for us today? Tell us what we got.
Well, it says it's the finest Kentucky bourbon around.
Hey, now.
Well-crafted quality. The genuine article has there's stuff written all over this thing.
Yeah, pick a side and just go for it.
It says this Sly whiskey was discovered. Oh, maybe there's a fox on the front instead of a wolf. It is. So there's a fox. This Sly whiskey was discovered in the dark shadows of a rick house after spending 20 years in charred American white oak barrels. A soft and elegant nose, reminiscent of warm spice, biscuit, and buttercream, is cunningly paid off with the mellow taste of roasted grains and charred oak, finishing with pleasing hints of spice and brown sugar.
You know, I get a little bothered sometimes by tasting notes like that are on a bottle because it kind of already primes your mouth to what to taste.
Well, that's the thing about, for me, when I'm tasting something, if somebody's like, man, you kind of taste a little hint of nutmeg there, I'd be like, yeah, I kind of do.
Right.
I don't fucking know.
That's the power of suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very powerful thing. I think that's proven. Just look it up on the internet. I don't know. When they suggest things like buttercream and, you know.
Yeah, I want to taste what I taste. Start telling me that other stuff, I'm going to think it's there too.
Right.
But I'm sure they pretty carefully select what they put on a bottle like that. But still,
Oh, yeah.
I want to make up my own mind.
Barterhouse whiskey. It is 20 years old, as we said before. It's 90.2 proof, which is a nice proof. And 90.2 makes me think, well, they probably took some care in figuring out what the exact proof is to make it taste the best. This was distilled in the new. What do you got going there? You gonna play a song?
Whiskey!
Wayne wants whiskey. He shall have it. This was distilled in the new Bernheim distillery. There was an old Bernheim that's very sought after, but not a lot of that's around.
Was there a middle Bernheim?
There wasn't.
Just
no.
old and new.
Yep. But it was aged in Stitzel-Weller, all of this was, which, like I said, is the Pappy Van Winkle distillery, very famous, and now home of the Bullet Bourbon Experience. You can take tours there, which is really cool. Have you been there?
No.
We'll have to go out there sometime.
Yep. Go this weekend.
Sure. Pretty close to downtown Louisville, unlike all the other distilleries, so, you know, if you're in Louisville, it's, I was trying to open it incorrectly. Whoopsie daisy.
There you go.
Okay. All right, so it's a good-looking bottle. What do you think of the looks of the whole line?
Like it.
Yeah, I like the square bottle.
The Orphan Barrel line, they've got like the best bottling ever.
It is bottled in Tullahoma, Tennessee, home of George Dickel. You may know that, which is also owned by Diageo. They bottle it down there. And another beautiful distillery. If you ever get down there around Nashville, go ahead and stop by there and take a look. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this tasting.
Fairly dark color.
Right.
Not as dark as some 20-year-old.
No.
So probably not quite the heaviest char on the barrel, which actually in one this old is probably a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the barrel flavor is overpowering once you hit somewhere in the high teens.
You know, that's a lot of complaints on the older Pappy, that it's too woody.
Yeah, people said the same thing about the Elijah Craig 23.
Uh-huh. I could see that. Or, you know, it's just not your style, I guess. All right, so here we go. Nose. Okay, very nice nose.
Yeah, like a kind of a little bit of a sherry smell in the nose. Like a whiskey that's been aged in a sherry barrel or finished in it.
Right, which we've reviewed one of those as well. The Heaven Hill Select Stock was aged in sherry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, finished. Very rich. Cherry was on my mind. You can definitely smell the woodiness, oakiness.
Does not smell like your typical bourbon, that's for sure.
No, you can tell you're in for a treat.
That's right.
Tastes different than it smells.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of dry. It's not I don't know about buttercream. I might scratch that off the list.
I don't know. You ever had like that old-fashioned pulled cream candy?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it tastes a little bit like that.
All right. I kind of get a raisin-y.
A little bit of a vanilla, almost like French vanilla ice cream kind of. If you take just like a little tiny sip, you'll kind of get some of that.
Boy, the flavor really lingers in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff isn't going to last. They aren't making it. So if you do see a bottle that's affordable, it retails at $75. I'd say anywhere around $100 is worth buying, simply because it's not going to be around. And it's good.
Yeah, really good. Be awesome if it costs like $25 and they made it all the time.
It'd be even better if it cost like $5.
Or it was just free. Once a week you went down to your local bourbon house and they just gave you a bottle.
With your bourbon prescription.
Yeah.
1 bottle of bourbon, please. Man, simpler times. All right, so considering the bottle, the price, the taste, the look. What are you thinking here? From 1 to 10, let's just do a straight 1 to 10. 1 being poor, 10 being excellent.
Give it a 7.75.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8. I think it's totally worth it. I guess price is pretty much the only thing detracting me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it could be a little more complex.
The interesting thing for me with these Orphan Barrel bourbons is like, what was it, the final product, what was it going to be when they originally put this in the barrel?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know. A lot of questions.
You know, because it could have been just some 2-year-old whiskey that they were going to bottle and sell for next to nothing.
Right.
You just don't know.
It's called a connoisseur's whiskey. We're connoisseurs, I would guess.
Or something. I do connoisseur quite a bit of bourbon. What does a connoisseur do?
They connoisseur.
Do they?
Yeah, from time to time. I do a little connoisseuring on the weekends.
Do you?
I don't talk about it much, but we're going to keep making our way through the Orphan Barrels, as many as we can find. I think eventually we're going to have to go to some bars on the Urban Bourbon Trail. And now, a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Hey folks, tired of mowing your lawn? Yeah, I thought so. Who has time in the hustle and bustle of today's modern tech world? That's why you need the Lawn Bot. The Lawn Bot takes the hassle, danger, and embarrassment out of mowing your own lawn. Simply follow the step-by-step instructions, and before you can say, "Hey, nice lawn," the Lawn Bot will have mowed your grass to absolute perfection. And if it's not perfect this time, the next time, the time after that, dinner time, party time, halftime, bedtime, maritime, anytime, we will immediately send you 2 free automatic can openers with proof of purchase. Time's running out, so call now. 1-800-LAWN-BOT. That's 1-800-LAWN-BOT. All right, so I brought some water down.
Some water?
Yeah, and this is good water. This is not the bullshit tap water that we've used in the past. People, out there, people, listen up. Here we go. If you're tasting whiskey seriously, tasting bourbon seriously, use filtered water at least. Bottled water. Make sure your ice cubes are filtered water, because my water here has a taste. It really changes what bourbon tastes like.
And always have a good palate cleanser on hand.
Our palate cleanser of choice is, Wayne, you want to tell them?
That's a Modelo.
Well, not our choice, but we're sponsored by, actually.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't really locked that down with them yet,
yeah,
but we're still in negotiations.
But I'm drinking a Guinness Nitro IPA, though.
That works, too. What do you think of that, by the way?
Well, it's the first one I've ever had. It's different. I like it, but I would much rather have a regular Guinness.
So, yeah, you're a big Guinness fan.
Very much so.
Well, Guinness has quite a few different options now these days. You got the regular, you got the Nitro.
Yeah, the Nitro is what most people kind of think of as just the regular Guinness. That's the one in the can with the little ping pong ball thing in it.
Right.
Or the bottle that used to have the little plastic rocket looking thing in there.
Yeah.
But now it's gone. They found out some new kind of science to do away with the rocket. And then the original extra stout is like a carbonated Guinness, where those first two are Nitro beers. And then they came out with a black lager that horribly tripped and fell right on its face shortly after it came out.
Is that still made?
No.
Okay. So that was just like a swing and a miss.
Right. And then there's the Foreign Extra. Has a little bit of a hoppy flavor compared to a regular Irish stout. And there's...
We've got the IPA.
Yeah.
So, pull out the pocketbook, pony up.
Take out a loan.
Whatever you need to do. Go donate some blood, plasma.
Sell some stuff.
Go ahead and pawn your wedding ring.
Make your kids mow some lawns.
Sell your kid's bike.
Steal your neighbor's kid's bike and sell it.
That's probably the best option. I like that.
He's probably got a nicer one anyway.
All right, moving right along to the next subject. something I'm excited about. It kind of just presented itself. It's blending or vatting of bourbon, the mixing of bourbons that are off the shelf. So buying bourbons that you can get at the store and mixing them at home on your own in whatever proportions you want to try. So we have some suggested ones that I've found on the internet. I've talked to some colleagues of ours. We've got some suggestions for you. We've done one in the past when we did the Poor Man's Pappy. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Poor Man's Pappy, for those of you that don't know, it's all Weller. So it's a mixture of the antique Weller and the 12-year. And most people prefer to do 60% antique and 40% 12-year. Some people do half and half. But it's supposed to be equivalent to basically like a 12-year Pappy, which I think is pretty close. It's very, very good. And, of course, it's the same mash bill as Pappy is. And you can make a pretty good argument for it being about the same thing. Anyway, we've got a few suggestions for you to mix at home. You should buy a decanter. Just buy yourself a nice glass decanter. They're pretty cheap. You can find actually some really cool old ones in like thrift shops and stuff. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And start mixing. Start experimenting. I'm going to go ahead and recommend a few here for you. And we also came up with one on our own that we tasted earlier. And we're going to taste again, which we'll talk about. So there's one. We have Poor Man's Pappy, of course. And if you want to make a slight modification to that, you add a little Stag Junior. If you want to kind of beef it up a little bit, which I like that idea.
I like Stag Junior.
Yeah, no kidding. That's one of my favorites. I found one called the Rye-Fecta, and you might like this one. This is 20% Thomas Handy Sazerac rye. Pretty hard to find, unfortunately. 40% Smooth Ambler rye, which you can find, and 40% Wild Turkey 101. Sounds like a really damn good mixture to me.
It does.
Wild Turkey.
Hey, these are kind of like my kind of cocktails, too.
Yeah, 2 parts bourbon, 1 part bourbon, and 1/2 part bourbon on ice. Yeah, that's pretty much your cocktail, isn't it? When you're sitting at home.
If you're going to mix 3 things together, yeah.
All right, another great one. The reason why that is good, and it's called the Rye-Fecta, if you don't know, Wild Turkey is pretty high in rye. I would love to try that.
Yeah, me too.
We need to track down that Sazerac.
What's the other one? One of the Smooth Amblers?
Smooth Ambler rye. Yeah, which I have.
I wonder where we can find Sazerac.
That'll be a tough one. It can be found.
Keep an eye out for it.
Okay, moving on. This is another one you like, possibly. It's 60% Bernheim wheat, which is 100% wheated bourbon, or wheated whiskey, sorry.
Wheated whiskey.
Wheated whiskey. And 40% rare breed. So
that's yin and yang there.
Exactly. Yeah, you're kind of balancing out the sweetness with the spiciness.
Yeah.
Here's one that we came up with. We haven't formed a name for it yet. We need to come up with a name here.
I think we should do that here in just a second.
Yeah, we'll do this on air. Right here, live.
Right here.
Yeah. So, I know this sounds a little unconventional, but it's 50% Eagle Rare, okay? 40% Bullet Rye, and 10%, here's the X Factor, Mellow Corn.
What?
Believe that.
I like mellow corn.
Well, we like mellow corn a lot. We both agree on that. It's bottled in bond, first of all. It's 100 proof. So this mixture, we figured, comes out to about, like, what'd you say? Like 93 proof?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Probably.
Yeah. Low 90s in proof. Eagle Rare is mash bill number 1 from Buffalo Trace, which is a little bit lower in rye. This is kind of like a low rye mixture, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
But it's got rye in it.
Oh, yeah.
A low rye.
Well, yeah, sorry. But Bullet, I think, is kind of a really approachable rye. It's kind of a little bit sweeter to me. It's a lot different than other ryes.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought it would be good to include it in this. And then Mellow Corn, I think, is delicious. It just kind of adds that little extra proof, first of all.
It's kind of, you get the best of all three out of it.
Kind of highlighting the strengths of all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a testament to how good mellow corn is.
Right.
If you're doing one of these mixtures, don't count mellow corn out. You know, that could be the X factor. So out there in Revue de Bourbon land, go ahead and do your own blending. Definitely tell us about it. Social media it to us. If you want to reach us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, email, whatever. Tell us what you're doing. Take a picture and shoot it to us. We would love to see what you're doing, and we'll try it out and tell you our thoughts. We thought this would be a good one because these are things you can find on the shelf.
Right. Mellow corn's kind of hard to find sometimes,
but in a cheap way.
Right.
It's around.
When you do find it, it's $10.
It is kind of funny. It's like it's so cheap, it's hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange. The Bernheim wheat, I think that can be found, right?
Yeah, it can.
That's around.
And that one, that's another good one just on its own, too.
It's
It's one we've never done.
All right, we'll put that on the list.
Yeah. Most time we stick to bourbons and ryes anyway. And there's not many wheat whiskeys out there.
There really isn't. Wow, we really went through the ringer here. We had Barterhouse by Orphan Barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I think a very solid review. Definitely worth buying.
Right.
Go ahead and go to your neighbor's backyard, steal their son's bike, and go pawn it. And you can go get yourself a bottle.
Priceless family heirloom.
Then we did a little blended bourbon review. All right, thanks so much for joining us. This has been a wonderful episode. We really appreciate you guys listening. Check out our website at revuedebourbon.com if you want to learn more about what we've done in the past and more about bourbon. On behalf of myself, Dusty Pockets, and
Wayne Bennington.
Wayne, had a great time, man.
Good time.
Cheers.
Also, it's a lovely day for a Guinness.
This has been Revue de Bourbon. We'll see you next time right here on the Pod Waves.
All right, Dan.
Stay tuned. You get pissed off about shelf space.
What?
Believe that.
Here's looking at you, Scientology.